All right, guys, welcome back to the Crypto Wave. It's not very often I do back-to-back videos like this, but this one's exciting, and I was able to get off work a little bit early, so I can talk about it a little bit. So I just did a video, I believe it was either yesterday or the day before, I can't recall. In fact, I should pull that up. But anyways, the reason I'm doing another one is because you're running out of time. Well, you're not technically. So I did a video previously on Manor Farm. Manor Farm is the farming token that is on currently layer 1 going to layer 2 in the next week. Part of the drip community, which, as you guys know, I talked about that last video also. Speaking of which, I'm going to go ahead and hydrate this real quick. I'm trying to compound as much drip as I can at this point because I think there's going to be a lot of good stuff in 2022 to promote and increase the price of drip. At the moment, drip is worth $70. It was $73 on the last video I did, so it did go down a little bit. But I've had it all the way down to, like, I can't remember, like $6 or something like that. But how do I know big things are coming for 2022? Simply because the developer is saying there's a lot of stuff coming in 2022. So, like any other project, you got to do your own research. I researched into this developer. I've been part of a couple of different things that he's launched. I've never been part of, unfortunately, the DAO that he was in, or that he has that you can get into pre-sales and things like that. But I get into the project as early as I can. Drip being one of them. I have more than probably 10x'd what I put into Drip at this point. But I've also been holding it for 9 months. It's one of those things that you need to kind of hold on to long term. We talked about it briefly, but I'll go over it. This is my max payout. I deposited 216. That's including what I've deposited just a moment ago. I've claimed 525, so obviously I still have just over 200 left that I can claim. Quick calculation, obviously. Let's open up the calculator here. We're going to call it just 220 at current value, which is $70. I still have $15,000 I can take out. This drips 1% a day, up to 365% of what you put into it. And it's going to keep getting fed. And what is it going to be getting fed by? It's going to be getting fed by the next awesome one right here, which is Manor Farm. Manor Farm, let's go about it really quickly because my last video went a little long and I would love for you to check out the previous video talking about it. But here's the key things you need to know. 1, this is currently layer 1 Manor Farm. Is it too late to get in? No, it is not, but you are running out of time. The emissions on the farms here, so that would be any of these, let me click on this here. Any of these farms where you put in your liquidity and any of these are generating Rev Token. That is all going to end tomorrow. So the generation of Rev or the farming of Rev will be done tomorrow. And that was by design. It went for 14 days. I got in pretty dang early. I've been compounding like crazy. I actually moved some of my liquidity from Pancake. This site's always slow for me, and I apologize. I moved my liquidity from Pancake, which is my USD BUSD pair, as well as my WBNB BUSD pair. I pulled them over here in order to generate as much Rev as possible, and it's still going. This APR is going up right now, 2750. This one's at 2000. The total volume, you'll notice, has been slowly going down. And to be honest with you, I'm not sure why. I think people are making a mistake. You don't need to pull this stuff out. It's not like it's going to disappear. I'm generating 2,700% return at this point with my approximately 5,000 liquidity I put in here. It's generating me about 1 to 2 Rev a day at that current value. It has been going up because I think as people pull their value out, anticipating this farming to end, that percentage goes up to those that are still in it, and then the total volume over here actually goes down because people are pulling money out of the farms. But in my opinion, there's really no reason to pull out of the farm until tomorrow, until the generation of all this ends. And the reason being is once layer 1 ends, yes, you won't be generating any more Rev, and at that point I will pull out my liquidity and I'll move it back over to Pancake in the meantime. But there's going to be a 48-hour period in which all the Rev excuse me, all the Rev that you've generated and all the Rev that you've bought is you can then sorry, you can then sacrifice it for the layer 2, which is going to be the dog and pig token. What's important about the dog and pig token? Well, 1, pig token, the more you own and you deposit into the farm itself, you actually will gain BUSD or US dollars for the percentage of how much you hold in there. And when the time comes and all these farms shut down, what's going to end up happening is you're going to 48 hours. This is from the developer. I was on a call, or I wasn't on a call, but he did an AMA in Telegram the other day. And what's going to end up happening is the entire liquidity of the Rev, I believe it's Rev and BUSD pair that's currently in there. When this all shuts down, it's going to sit for 2 days. The only way to get Rev is to buy it off of the market. It will no longer be generated from farming, which, as we know, farming usually puts a downward pressure on price. Even with that downward pressure, though, Rev has been slowly but surely creeping up. And I'll tell you the reason why I think it is. One, everybody wants as much Rev as they can, because that Rev token, when you sacrifice it for layer 2 for dog and pig token, you will get 20% on top of what you put into it. So if you have $100 worth of Rev token, you get $120 worth of dog and pig token split. So it'd be $60 of each of those particular tokens. It'll always be equally distributed. If you have $1,000, you obviously get $1,200 worth of the dog and pig token split equally. So, but that's not the important thing. What I wanted to do this next video for is because you're running out of time. We are on the last day of generating Rev. I personally think, and this is just plainly from what the developer has said, I have no doubt that this value of Rev right now, which is 176, I think when I did my video the other day it was about 150, is going to go up. And I'll tell you why. One is there's no more Rev being generated from the farm, so the downward pressure will only come from those that are selling as opposed to being generated and sold. Number two is the community. The community is absolutely hyped balls to the wall for this project, and I think there's going to be a lot of people buying up more and more of it because they want their stake on the dog and pig token on level 2. 3 is he hasn't hidden this fact that there is a wallet that has been accumulating BUSD to do buybacks. It stands to reason, and he specifically said he's going to use it to do buybacks. In fact, he said yesterday that he's already been using it to get onto dips. So let's go over to the chart here real quick. So when I did this video the other day, this is a 15-minute chart. I just pulled up a random amount here. But every time, and I don't know when it's going to be, but he said on each dip, he's been doing some buybacks to bring that price back up because he has that value. Part of the protocol of people buying and selling includes a value that goes to this wallet or this treasury wallet to do buybacks. So I don't know if this was probably a natural dip and maybe this was him buying back. I have no idea. I don't know if this was him buying back. I don't know if this was him buying back or this or this or this or this or this or this or that. However, let's assume he's been using that treasury to do those buybacks on all of those. Last count, he has about I think it was 1.8 million left to do buybacks. That's on top of everybody else buying. Now these buybacks are on the back of the farm generating Rev, creating sell pressure. Come tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern time, what would that be? 9 a.m. No, 8 a.m. Pacific. Farms are done and they will no longer be generating Rev. The only Rev that's going to be getting sold on the market would be those who are currently holding Rev. The vast majority of people in the chat, and you can go to this chat at any time, the vast majority of them are not selling their Rev. They're all waiting to get into that layer 2. So I feel like there's not going to be a lot of buy pressure, or I'm sorry, a lot of sell pressure. And even if there is sell pressure, there's a lot of people ready to scoop up those dips, including the developer, who over the next 2 days from then will be buying using the buyback wallet, from my understanding when listening to him. So is this buyback wallet legit? Well, just a moment ago, I went into this chat and said, hey, how do we know this buyback wallet is legit? What's the number, or what's the wallet number? And one of the moderators sent me a link to the wallet. So if we come over here, if you look, let's refresh this just to see if it's changed. Here you are, 1.847 million at this point sitting in this wallet. And this is from what I'm being told from the moderators, this is the buyback wallet, which means, in my understanding, is the majority of this is going to go into, if not all, I have no idea. I'm trying to remember back. It was pretty late when I was listening to the AMA, but my understanding is all this is going into buying Rev. Now, why is that also important? Well, that's also important because once he's doing those buys, and we know there's no more sell pressure, and we know, look at this, it's already creeping up again. Jeez. And And we know there's going to be minimal sell pressure. There's a lot of people, because the way this is set up, everybody wants to get into that layer 2 pig farm farming. The value of the token is going to skyrocket up. And that's important because farming ends tomorrow. 2 days worth of buying and selling of Rev only, then it gets shut down, because at that point you need to sacrifice your Rev. You want the highest Rev value possible to sacrifice, because there's going to be a snapshot taken just before that Rev is no longer tradable and the sacrifice occurs. And what does that mean? That means that if it stayed where it is right now, 175, you get 20% more. Let's say you hold 1 Rev and it's at 175. So 175 times 20%. Whoops. Oh, I did that wrong. 175 times 20% is 35. So you would get $205 worth of value in the level 2, in the layer 2. Now let's assume that this, because the snapshot isn't taken until the end, let's say this gets up to 300. Well, obviously 20% of 300 is going to be significantly more. You're going to want that Rev token as high as you could possibly. Oh my gosh, it just updated 180. Boom. You're going to want that Rev token as high as you possibly can get it prior to the snapshot. And that snapshot is happening in a couple of days' time. So I don't know what to tell you. I feel like this is an easy play. Not only I feel like this token is going to go up, and I'm not very big on guarantees, and I'm not going to guarantee anything on this because anything can happen, as we know. There may still be some whales. I have not investigated into the whale wallets yet to see if there's anybody that's going to try and dump. However, we do know that there's 1.8 million left for buybacks. We know that the downward sell pressure of the farms is ending tomorrow. We know that the community is huge and is holding as long as they can to get that Rev as high as they can to get the 20% bonus for layer 2. I feel like this is kind of win-win. Are you too late? I don't think so. Does it feel like you're buying very high? Yes, it does. But how often can you buy that high knowing the developer is about to start dumping some money into it in the next 2 days? So that is all I want to talk about at the moment. You can, if you want a little bit more detail, I went into the white paper a bit with the pig and dog token. Just know the name of the game right now for the next kind of 48 hours, maybe a little bit more, is get as much Rev as humanly possible. The farm is only good until tomorrow morning, but at these values, you can definitely get quite a bit. So there's no harm in putting in now, although there's a 4% fee. Tough call. But 4% fee, it's up to you. This value keeps going down little by little, but that's fine. I think people are just pulling prematurely. When the farming ends, it's not like your liquidity goes away. Come tomorrow when the farming ends, you can just pull your liquidity out. I'll probably put it back in Pancake until the layer 2 launches in about a week time. And then I'll probably move it back over again. We'll see if the values are as high as they are right now. All right, guys, I hope that explains it. Please do your own research. I did my own research. I'm calling this a win. I'm going to keep dollar cost averaging into this to get as much Rev as I can. It just went up to 182 while we were talking. I don't want to cause any FOMO, but you are missing out. There it is. Nice little spike there as we've been chatting here. Expect some pullbacks. Oh, yes. In fact, before we go, one last thing. Expect a little bit of a pullback, maybe around that 200 to 220 range. When this token first launched, it skyrocketed up to that $200 mark. So there may be some sour people holding some Rev that they bought in about that $200 mark. They're going to want to start taking some profits, or at least trying to break even. So I wouldn't doubt if it starts getting to that 200 mark, you might see a little bit of a dip. But me personally, I'm holding my Rev all the way through until layer 2. So, all right, guys, everybody have a good one. Thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe if you haven't already. Please spread the word, help the community. And yeah, everybody have a good one. Talk to you later.